You're not for everyone. What does that mean? What is the concept of trying to present yourself for everybody? What does that mean for the long term implications of your practice and your personal mental health? What do we mean when we talk about tribes? And then let's talk about what that means in the context of trying to find the concept of 1,000 loyal or true fans. So let's start with the idea of humans as tribal creatures that over the past couple million years, we tend to congregate and live in relatively small groups until very, very recently. Groups of 12 to maybe 30 people versus in today's day and age living in subdivisions of 1,000 people, big cities of millions of people. And so I want to reference a really great book that is a little bit old now. It's a book called Tribe on Homecoming and Belonging. It's by an author, Sebastian Younger. You may know him. He wrote the book The Perfect Storm about the fishermen in the Atlantic coast during a hurricane that got turned into a movie. And he also did a documentary called Restrepo about the war in Afghanistan. And so, an accomplished journalist, accomplished war correspondent. And this book really kind of details why military units function really well. And it gets into the bigger picture of dysfunction with military members when they leave that tribe, but also speaks to kind of the bigger picture of humans interacting in these small groups, how we tend to not only survive, but thrive in these small groups. And then what happens when we try to fit ourselves into these very, very, very large groups, this large scale interconnectedness that on things like this, social media, make it seem possible to not only know of thousands or tens of thousands or maybe millions of people, but also maybe feel the pressure to have a high level of interconnectedness to a vast array of different people in different geographies, different belief systems that probably all things considered really isn't psychologically or physiologically possible or maybe sustainable. And we kind of have this false belief, even in physical therapy, that we need to be these chameleons. We need to make ourselves appeal to as many people as possible so that we can reach more patients, have more people on our caseload, that sort of stuff. But in the context of tribes, we really need to kind of recognize that no matter what, we're not going to appeal to most people for a number of different reasons, most of which we can't control, right? Our race, our gender, our ethnicity, our sexual preferences, who we married, who our kids are, how our kids behave, the high school we went to, the college we went to, the type of physical therapy setting that we practice in, our religion, our political affiliations, the way our clinic is decorated, the car we drive, and on and on and on and on and on. And that an industry level, we simply cannot appeal to every potential patient for all of those reasons, but also just the fact that we need to remember we're essentially offering a highly specialized service, right? Not everybody needs physical therapy at every time point in their life, which is very different from other industries in business where maybe they sell food or clothes or shoes. Right? Most human beings need a pair of shoes. Every human being needs food and water. And so they have a much broader market reach in an industry like that versus physical therapy, where again, we can be led to believe and feel the pressure to offer our services to every single possible person, which is just simply not possible for us. Instead, I want to introduce you to the concept of 1,000 loyal or 1,000 true fans. And so this is old now. This is a magazine article in Wired Magazine published by a guy named Kevin Kelly. Very long ago, he's the founder of the magazine, but he published this article on 1,000 loyal fans. That there are regular customers, there are fans, and there are true fans, people who really, really, really love what you're doing. They love your brand, they love your product. Regular customers might buy your product, they might come back, but in general, a regular customer is somebody who is easily persuaded away from what you're offering towards someone else's product for any number of different reasons. We know these people. You might be one of this person, right? Maybe every year you switch back and forth between iPhone and Android, or you are constantly turning in your old car for a new car, right? The person who needs to have the newest thing, and maybe the person who shops around when they need to have that new thing, and they take their loyalty from business to business to business. Now, fans are a little bit more dedicated. Maybe they stick with giving you their business, but maybe they're just not that dedicated overall, right? Maybe that's that person who had an iPhone 4 and then an iPhone 8 and then an iPhone 12 and maybe now they have an iPhone 16, right? They skip out on all the in-betweens. They only make a purchase every so often. They are not what we would call a true fan. Versus we know that true fan, we might be that true fan with a product or service in our life. That is the person who buys every iPhone, right? That's the person who turns in an iPhone that has nothing wrong with it 11 months later because the new one came out for no purpose other than they love the iPhone. They want to have the best and newest iPhone possible. True fans not only buy the book, they buy your updated version, they buy the audio book version, they buy the ebook version on their Kindle or whatever, right? They are a true fan. The people that buy VIP tickets to a concert versus just general admission seats. And for us in physical therapy, these are the people we want to find, right? These are the people who won't leave our schedule for good reasons, right? They like what we offer so much that they might be hanging out every other week or maybe once a month just for what we might consider maintenance therapy because they enjoy the experience and they enjoy the outcomes here so much. And those are the people that we're trying to reach. Instead of thinking about having this broad reach to as many potential people as possible, even if you don't really relate to them, even if you don't really offer a service that can help them, you're still trying to reach them versus spending time trying to cultivate 1,000 true or loyal fans and retaining those people's business. Now, Kevin Kelly in this article also talked about the concept that if you can find 1,000 of these people and across the span of a calendar year, they will give you a day's wages, you're going to have a very successful business. So, is that true? Does the math check out? Yeah, totally. Imagine that if you had $75 a visit as what you put in your bank account at the end of the day, right? No matter your rate, you put $75 in your pocket. If you saw 6 patients a day and you put $75 in your bank account per patient, you would make about $450 a day. That would be a day's wages. Now, if you can find 1,000 people across the scope of a year to give you $450 across that year, that's $450,000. That is almost 10 times the average physical therapist salary in the United States of America. That's incredible, right? That is awesome. And so if we look at having 30 visits in a week and 50 weeks in a year, we actually see that that's also possible from a visit perspective, right? That's 1,500 visits a year. If your full time caseload is 30 visits, about 6 patients a day across 50 weeks in the year, giving yourself a little bit of wiggle room for things like vacation. So could you find 1,000 people who would give you $150 a visit so that you could put $75 in your bank account who would see you 3 times a year or more? Maybe 1,000 seems like a lofty goal, but if we reduce the amount of people you need to find and increase the amount of times that they see you, it becomes a lot more plausible. Could you find 500 people who would see you 6 times a year? Yeah, that seems more likely, right? And that still results in $450,000 a year. And now, if you're thinking about on the business side, business owner, clinic manager, whatever, can you now find other people like you, other physical therapists, who can do the same thing, who can find 500 people who want to come see them and give a day's wages across the scope of a year? Now, not only do you have a successful business, but you can grow and scale a sustainable, successful practice for everybody that works there. So that's the concept. How do we find these people? The answer is it takes a long time. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of intentional effort to find these people and help them on their path, so to speak, to become your true loyal fan. That involves a lot of direct relationships. It involves a lot of touch points. It involves things like texting patients after their visits 24 hours later to see how they're doing. Maybe if they're only coming in once a week or once every other week, still checking in on them, even though they're not in the clinic, to see things are how they're going with their home program, with running, with the gym, whatever they're trying to get back to. Having those high quality direct touch points are what cultivate true loyal fans and in general providing a really high quality experience. The notion of give, ask. We always want to think about over delivering to our true fans. Why? They are not only giving you repeat business, but they're continuing to generate future business for you because they can't stop talking about you, right? Take CrossFit, for example. Most CrossFitters can't stop talking about CrossFit. It is wonderful word of mouth marketing for whatever gym they happen to be nearby, or maybe even a gym they've never been to that is near a friend or family member that is being inundated with how much they're hearing about CrossFit from this friend or family member. And maybe they go to the gym in their town, right? Word of mouth marketing. For small businesses like ours, like our physical therapy clinics, word of mouth is often demonized on social media. It's often pushed to do paid ads, click funnels, automations, when in reality, it's those direct connections that cultivate, find, and enhance and reinforce your relationship with your true loyal fans. You may be somebody who has maybe treated every member of the same family, right? We have a family here of five: mom, dad, three kids. We've had them all on the caseload at the same time. That is the definition of true loyal fans. They not only are happy with their experience, but they want to have you help their spouse and their kids with their sports and grandma and so on and so forth. And so we need to find those true loyal fans, and then we need to be really intentional on over delivering a high quality experience to those folks. Before we continue with the last point here, I want to take a break, introduce myself. My name is Alan. This is Leadership Thursday. We talk all things practice management, small business ownership. Leadership Thursday also means it is Gut Check Thursday. So today's Gut Check Thursday is a hero workout called BERT. I will warn you, we program this every year on Thanksgiving. This is a longer, higher volume workout than normal. If you're going to do this as written, you should plan at least 60 minutes for this workout. It starts with 50 burpees, and then you have a 400-meter run, and then you have 100 push-ups, and then you have a 400-meter run, and then you have 150 walking lunges, and then a 400-meter run, 200 air squats, 400-meter run, and then you kind of come back down that pyramid. Lunges, run, push-ups, run, burpees. And so it kind of starts upper body. There's a peak in the middle where it's a lot of lower body, and then comes back down and finishes with more upper body. So body weight workout, a lot of running, just kind of be mindful of that volume there. Scale is needed. Cut the reps in half if you're not great at push-ups or squats or lunges or something like that, but also be prepared to work for a little bit. If you want to learn more about what we're talking about today, we do have a practice management course for you that is called Brick by Brick. The next cohort starts January 14th. That is led by myself. We will teach you everything you need to know to actually start your business, from filing for incorporation, tax stuff, making sure that you're set up for pass-through taxation, NPI numbers, all the basic stuff that any business needs. And then we'll get deep into the weeds on, should you take insurance? Should you be a cash PT? And then we finish the class talking about marketing and budgeting. So something for everybody, regardless of the setting you want to open a practice in, regardless of the payment method you want to take. That is our comprehensive practice management course. Okay, our final point here, coming back to the idea of you're not for everyone. It is just not possible, again, for every person you meet to become a true fan of what you're offering. Like we talked about, most people will not like you for any number of infinite reasons, almost all of which are out of your control. But some people will. And why does that matter? The research would tell us it is significantly cheaper from a money perspective to spend your time retaining current customers than constantly trying to acquire new customers, which is really an inverse from how many people would view standard marketing for any industry, but physical therapy in particular. Of this idea that we always have to be doing something to find new patients, more patients, more patients, more patients. And the truth is that in the average clinic, the volume is so high and the quality is not the highest it could be. And that is going to result in some what we would call churn, people falling off your schedule. And so when the quality is low and the volume is high, customers don't stick around. And so you always have to be on the hunt for new customers. Why is that bad? A really interesting research article from Bain Capital. So those are the folks that you may have known, the Net Promoter Score. How likely are you to recommend this company? Those sorts of questions you get on surveys. They did some research, and it was published in an article in the 2014 edition of the Harvard Business Review. that it costs between 500 to 2,500% more money to acquire a brand new customer than to just spend a little time and money retaining a current customer. And that every 5% you improve your customer retention, you improve the overall profit of your business by 25 to 95%. What does that mean? It means your time and money is probably better spent reaching out to previous customers or really focusing on the quality of the experience of folks currently at your business than to be constantly focused on trying to market and reach new customers. Far too often, clinics and clinicians, especially newer clinicians, spend way too much time and money trying to appeal to a wide variety of people who they really have no passion to work with and maybe even no experience to work with, right? And so we see this happen a lot where big companies spend a lot of money on flyers and handouts and pamphlets for maybe treating CrossFit athletes. And maybe they even come to a CrossFit gym and try to offer their services. And then maybe if a CrossFitter does go there, no one there has done CrossFit or understands how to help a CrossFit athlete, and that person has a poor experience. What a colossal waste of time and money on everybody's behalf, right? The patient, maybe most importantly, but the business itself has also wasted a lot of time and money to not acquire a true loyal fan. Really good example here. One day, a couple years ago in the summer, a new PT clinic opened in town, and the clinicians came over and they had handouts for their clinical services. And they walked right into the gym through the garage doors for open gym and started to talk to us, a group of CrossFit coaches and physical therapists who own a physical therapy clinic next to the gym about all the benefits that they could offer us. How dumb, right? How dumb to try to appeal to as many people as possible and not do a very basic amount of research to understand that's probably going to be a waste of time and money because this is a gym where the coaches on staff are physical therapists who work next door at a physical therapy clinic. And we see those examples all over the place of spending a lot of time, spending a lot of money to cast a really wide net only to come up with old shoes and cans, right? And not the catches that we want. Once you recognize that some people, you're trying to hammer a square peg into a round hole. And when you recognize you can't possibly be for everybody, again, for reasons that are almost entirely out of your control, you will begin to free up not only a lot of money, but a lot of time and maybe most importantly, mental bandwidth that you aren't really trying to reach those people anyways, because they're not somebody who you would say is a person that would become a true loyal fan. And then if we remember that we're tribal creatures, that's okay. We thrive in smaller groups. The idea of every potential human being on the planet, in the country, in your state, in your county, whatever, as a potential patient is maybe not the most intelligent decision as far as business practice goes. It's okay to focus on finding who those people are in your tribe on a personal level and working really hard to attract them and maintain them as one of those 1,000 true fans. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this makes you think a little bit on this Thursday morning and maybe hopefully helps take some stress off your plate as well. If you're sitting here thinking, gosh, I need to cast a wider net. Instead of that, look backwards at the catch you already have and maybe think about how can I do really small touch points with previous patients? How can I improve the current patient experience of clinics already patients in my clinic instead? So have a great Thursday, everybody. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Have fun with Gut Check Thursday. I'm getting ready to walk next door and do it right now. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. We're going to talk about shoulder health on Fitness Athlete Friday.